Build a smart Slack bot with Node.js and Watson, a hands-on workshop with Dave Nugent.
Let's get started. So, as Suze mentioned, I am a developer advocate. I work for IBM. I previously worked for a number of startups here in SF. My background is programming, mostly JavaScript development, but I also did some Java stuff. So I sort of come at stuff from a developer mindset. And I run Forward.js, which used to be an in-person conference and is now all virtual. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to in-person events sometime soon. And we also have IBM Developer SF meetup. And we run events like 3 or 4 times a week there. So the link below is actually to the lab instructions. That's the Watson Slack lab. And that's just a little GitHub README that contains a bunch of links that you can use to complete the integration. So if you want to go and jump into that right now, feel free, go ahead. Don't wait for me. But I just wanted to do a little bit of a background, talk about why chatbots are interesting, why it's something that you might want to add to your tool belt as a developer or even as a non-developer. And so one of the reasons that chatbots are hot right now is that the projected market for chatbot technologies is growing rapidly, right? Even faster than the market for cloud technologies. It's expected to be almost $10 billion by 2024, according to a Business Insider report. And the compound annual growth rate in North America, at least for chatbots, 31.2%. And the highest segment of that is actually customer service chatbots. So interacting with customers, getting information to them, getting information from them. And I just want to read this quote from Grandview Research. Technologies such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, so that's physical devices, and APIs, among others, are evolving at rapid speed. Chatbots are integrated with these technologies to offer enhanced operations, thereby driving market demand. Artificial intelligence and audio speech-based chatbots are expected to account for the largest market share in the future. So the Slack bots that are going to provide a lot of value to your business or to you as a individual contributor in your business are the ones that are going to be powered by some level of artificial intelligence. And so that's what we're going to show today. We're going to show how to build a Slack chatbot connected to IBM Watson to provide the artificial intelligence. Hopefully, this is new integration for me. So if everything goes well, then that's what's going to happen. If everything doesn't go well, then it's going to be a catastrophe, and at least we'll have a good time. So I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Slack. It's been around for a while, back when we used to work in the office. Slack was actually right across the street from us here in San Francisco, and we always used to go over to Slack whenever we wanted some nice snacks. They had really good snacks. They had a barista that would make you coffee for free. They had these lunches on Wednesday where you would get all this amazing food from a buffet. And they also have nice technology too. But for me, the lunches. So Slack has a number of different functionalities according to sort of the parts of it that you use for your job. So of course, there's the group messaging feature, but Slack can also work as a collaboration hub. So you, in addition to messaging other people, you could actually store documents. You could deal with file sharing. You could coordinate meetings. So you could actually call people, do video calls over Slack. DevOps will use it, especially if there's notifications coming in about deployment processes, CI/CD processes. Sales can use it. I'm sure a lot of you have, if you're not using this in your business, have seen screenshots of people saying oh, so-and-so just closed this deal, or so-and-so needs help on this deal. So it could be integrated with a lot of sales tools. Also with analytics, meeting goals as far as website visitors or conversions. Expenses and finance can use Slack through integrations with a lot of their products. And there's tons of other integrations that you can use. So Slack actually has an API that allows you to build custom integrations. And that's what we're going to take advantage of during this workshop. So there's lots of ways that you can interact with Slack from a bot perspective or from an API perspective. There's obviously slash commands. So if you've ever wanted to send an animated GIF of a cat, you could do slash Giphy. You could actually build custom slash commands for Slack. And as an admin, you could sort of define what slash commands will be used in a particular workspace. There's notifications, somebody wants some of your time for something useless. And sometimes they're useful notifications, but you have a lot of granular control as an end user over what kind of notifications you want to get from what channels. You can actually build interactive messages. So you can prompt the user and say, hey, I would like to gather some information from you. Dialogues in the same way, message actions. There's APIs, event APIs. There's an RTM API, which is a little more complicated. I don't think we're going to get into that. But there's a number of ways that you as a developer can interact with users and also like backends and other integrations through Slack. So we're going to skip over BlockKit, but BlockKit is actually this really cool UI framework where you can build these message UIs without necessarily having to go in and code everything by hand. BlockKit Builder is Slack's visual prototyping tool that you can use if you want to build more complicated integrations that aren't just, like a message comes in and we're going to respond with this message. We're going to do a very simple integration today. We're not going to do something sort of visually interesting. But if you do want to do something like that in the future, I definitely recommend checking out BlockKit Builder. It's this cool interactive product that gives you access to this framework so that you can actually see the code that's being generated by the UI that you're building in real time. So here's the anatomy of a Slack message. You can see there's a lot of different, I see John says BlockKit is awesome. Great, love it. Glad to have some backup on that. So you can see that the Slack message is made up of different sections separated by dividers. And then you can see that there's also these accessory sort of like icons or pictures that you can add to a particular message. And then at the very bottom, you can see the green box corresponds to an action. So there's different elements that a user can interact with if you want to get back some information from that user. So it's not just IRC, here's some text. It can actually get quite a bit more complicated, and BlockKit definitely helps for that. So the way that a user interacts with a bot over Slack is illustrated by this diagram here. And this diagram was actually not made by me. It is really nice, and it was designed by my former colleague, Tomomi Imura, who is no longer at Slack and is now working at Microsoft. But since she designed this for a presentation that we previously gave together about Slack and Watson, I wanted to use it again, first of all, because it's beautiful, but I also wanted to give a shout out to her for the amazing work that she put into this workshop, even though, of course, she's not giving it right now because she doesn't work at Slack anymore. She works at Microsoft. But shout out to Tomomi. I will try to paste her Twitter handle into the chat later. But basically, the user is going to send a message to Slack. So that's like type, enter, bam, goes to Slack. And at that point, Slack triggers the app mention event. And so anything subscribed to the app mention event will get a ping. And so in this case, we have a bot that's subscribed. So Slack will send the payload to the request URL specified by the bot. The bot will think about it, do whatever it needs to do, and it will respond back with a post message, and then Slack will post the message back to the end user. So Slack is kind of operating as the hub here, right? It's sort of like a coordination hub. Oh, thank you, CFE, for pasting Tomomi's Twitter. Tomomi is, if you have to choose between me and Tomomi for people to follow on Twitter, it's Tomomi every day of the week. Not just because it's more technically accurate, but she posts amazing pictures of her cats, like her cats, other people's cats, drawings of cats. She has like the whole HTTP status code thing illustrated with cats. So like 404 cat not found. Definitely recommend checking out Tomomi's Twitter. Thank you for that. So so this is just how a user will interact with a bot through Slack. Slack is kind of the hub. The way that a user will interact with a Watson-powered bot is, you can see it's actually the same sort of start and the same end. But right there in the middle, after the bot gets the request URL, you can see that it's going to extract some information from that and send it over to Watson. It's going to say, hey, I got this message. I'm just a bot, don't know how to respond to it. I need an intelligent answer to this question or message. And then Watson will be able to use either a custom machine learning model, or in this case, we're just going to use a very, very basic customer service skill that's already been trained. It's going to process that and return a result to the bot. And then the bot is going to return it to Slack, and then Slack is going to return it to the user. I see Elaine says, here for the cats. Elaine, I have to break it to you. I have close to 0 cats in this presentation. I hope you're not disappointed, but I hope that Tomomi's Twitter will keep you satiated for the next few minutes. So this is how we're going to add Watson into this integration. Now, previously, the way that we did this is we actually had a glitch project, and glitch is this really cool system. If you haven't used it before, if you have used it before, you know how cool it is. But it basically is sort of like a combination of a GitHub repo and a hosting environment, and also a sharing environment. So you can take someone's project, their code, and you can actually remix it and use it yourself, and then edit it, and it'll actually be hosted and deployed automatically. So there is a glitch repo. If you click on the call to action down there at the bottom, you can get access to that. I believe I have it under like optional or extra steps. And so you can actually get some code that will create this bot. In this lab, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the instructions to make an integration between Slack and Watson a little more tightly coupled using the Slack Watson integration. But if you do want to custom code that bot, you can totally do that. And the code, like I said, is available in that link below. Okay, so let's see. We have a bunch of resources. I will post these links in PDF after the event, so you'll have access to all my slides. But yeah, lots and lots of documentation that we're going to cheerfully ignore and just follow some instructions. So partners program, I'll mention that later. So now it's going to go into this weird zoomy infinite scroll thing. Sorry, this is a peek behind the curtain here. So hopefully everybody is here at my GitHub README about building a smart block with Slack, Blockkit, and Watson. And again, this interactive portion is totally optional. You can follow along. You can do it yourself, whatever you want to do. The first thing you'll need to do is sign up for IBM Cloud. Excuse me. Close to 0 is still not 0, keeping my eyes peeled. Yes, there could be some quantum singularity of cats just appearing out of nowhere. I can't rule that out. The universe is not completely classical. So yeah, however, if you do see some cats behind me, please let me know, because when I started this workshop, there were 0 cats in this room, and I'm slightly allergic, so I'd like it to stay that way. So signing up for IBM Cloud, really simple. You don't need to put a credit card in or anything like that. We'll go through how to create resources through IBM Cloud in a second. Also, I did want to mention Red Hat Marketplace. So this is totally unrelated to this particular project, but I've been doing a lot of work with Kubernetes. If anybody is familiar with Kubernetes, even if you're not familiar with it, you've probably heard a lot of people talking about it. So this is a partnership between Red Hat and IBM about how to build and deploy software on a hybrid cloud environment. If you are in a position where you want to sell software from your company to IBM and Red Hat's customer base, there is actually this sell with us link up here. So you can actually get access to list your software alongside all of the different AI, machine learning, big data, database, developer tools, security, storage, all the different software that we have that customers can buy and deploy over their hybrid cloud infrastructure. You can actually have your software included in that. So if that's something that your company wants to do, definitely recommend checking out Red Hat Marketplace and trying to get your software listed there. Next thing you'll do, because hopefully by now you've created your IBM Cloud account, is you're going to create a Watson Assistant service. So let's open this up. And so the way that we'll do this, if you don't click this link specifically, you could just go back to your IBM Cloud dashboard, which you can get to just by going to cloud.ibm.com or just clicking IBM Cloud up here, and then click Create Resource. One of the cool things is that as long as you choose a plan that's light or free, you can see you'll get a certain amount of consumption. In this case, 10,000 messages a month. You're on a shared public cloud, but you get an analytics dashboard, and all of this is free. That being said, um, not just free, but you don't need to put in a credit card. So it's not like you'll get charged if you go over 10,000 messages a month. You'll just get an email saying like, "Hey, stop using so much Watson services. Maybe get your boss to pay us." But all these light plan services will be deleted after 30 days of inactivity. You'll still be able to spin them back up, but just as an FYI, if you build, for example, a custom model and upload it, make sure that you save that somewhere. Excuse me. And then you can pay, a bunch of money for these things, but you really don't need it for this lab. 10,000 messages a month will be more than enough. So then we'll click create over here. And then this will just spin for a second. I'm creating this in the Dallas data center. You should be able to create it in different data centers if you want to, but honestly, latency in this lab probably won't be much of a deal. So at this point, you'll get access to this. It's sort of like the IBM Cloud Watson Assistant resource page, which is really, really dull. I mean, there's not very much here. There's an API key, there's a URL, and that's about it. But if you click Launch Watson Assistant, then you'll actually get to the assistant configuration tool. So if you're looking at this page, you're like, Dave, this sucks. Okay, click Launch Watson Assistant. And so again, this is a totally new assistant, right? So it's going to be totally blank. There's not going to be any smartness or intelligence yet. So let's go back to our list here. Launch the Watson Assistant tool and then create a customer care example skill. So let's do that. So we have the assistant, and we have a skill. And so I think what we can do is we can actually swap this out for a sample skill. And you can see we only have one sample skill here. Before swapping this out, we'll just swap it out, whatever. And then I'll be able to show you what's going on. So we're swapping this out for the customer care example skill. And you can see that we've actually already trained some data using this customer care skill. So we have 9 intents, we have 9 entities, we have 52 dialogue nodes. And if we dig in here, and again, this is not, an amazing artificial intelligence. This skill is not going to win Jeopardy like like the Watson computer did previously. But this just gives you an example of, like how you would greet a customer, how you would understand that a customer wants to say goodbye. And so it builds up a number of intents, a number of entities. So it'll understand if a customer is representing a zip code. It'll understand US phone pattern. It'll understand different holidays so that it won't schedule things on particular holidays. And then there's actually all these dialogue nodes. So you can say like, your opening is going to be a welcome. If you want to make an appointment, it'll send it to the appointment section. So you got all this that you could play around with, which we are also cheerfully going to ignore today. But there's a lot of stuff that you can actually do under the hood with these example skills. So let's go back to the assistant. Okay, so we've created our customer care example skill. Now we have to create our Slack workspace. And the idea behind this is that you want a Slack workspace that you're an administrator of, because you're going to steal a bunch of keys and stuff from it and, give it to Watson so that you can make an integration and have a bot that actually can read all the information and then relay information back to Slack. So the way you do that, and I've already created one, so I'm not going to go through this, but you'll be able to go through and create a Slack workspace using your email address. And then as soon as you're done with that, you'll be able to log into that. And I have my Slack workspace here. I'm going to use the one for Forward.js, our conference that doesn't exist in person anymore. So we have, a number of different channels. I think I have my testing channel here. So make sure that you're able to go through and create your Slack workspace. If you have any issues creating the Slack workspace, please paste them in the chat. Would love to know any issues that you're having. Every once in a while, they change their registration process, and so it's definitely good to know sort of like any roadblocks that you're hitting. Gosh, I'm talking too much. Okay, so this down here, this bonus part is the code level integration that I was talking about. So if you do want to do a code heavy integration where you have a lot of flexibility about how the integration works, that part that I've highlighted there, that's what you're going to do. However, we are not going to do that today because it's actually very complicated. But it's totally open if you want to remix the glitch project and do it yourself. Feel free, if you have any issues, then feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'm just going to do another infinite scroll thing. That is my Twitter. It's not sending. I already sent that message. I'm just going to assume that that got sent correctly. And if it didn't, then if Suze could please paste my Twitter link in the chat, then my direct messages are open, and so I should be able to help with any issues. But next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to follow the Slack Watson integration steps. So let's just open this right here. And I'm going to close my Slack window. Okay, sweet. So you could see this was just updated updated last month. And so this is actually an integration that you could do through the UI of IBM Watson Assistant. So you don't need to have all of these endpoints and coordination and dealing with trailing characters and missing quotes and stuff like that. So let's follow all of this. From the assistance page, open the assistant tile that you want to deploy. So let's go back to our assistant page. Oh, this is the boring page. I'm going to close this. Okay, sweet. So go back to our assistants. My first assistant, aptly named. And then we're going to say from the integration section, click add integration. Oh, here we go. And now you can see there's a number of different integrations. I wonder which one we're going to use today. Let's do Slack. Should we do Slack? Let's do Slack. Okay, and you can see step one, create a Slack app. So we're already ahead of the game. And so you've created your Slack workspace. Now you're going to create a Slack app. And the way you do that is you can actually go to api.slack.com and you can create an app there. Now let me see if I already have an app created. Yeah, so I've already created an app. So basically you're just gonna, actually if I refresh this, it'll probably show me my app. Sweet, so I created one called Watson app. Didn't do anything special. Just created this run-of-the-mill, very empty app. But this will allow us to communicate between Slack, our Slack workspace here, and also IBM Watson. I think the video is so far delayed that by the time I see your chat messages, you've probably sent them like 30 seconds ago, but they're very funny. Thank you. Okay, so we click Slack. You need a Slack app, so create a Slack app. There is actually looks like a little mini tutorial, but it's pretty straightforward. I don't think you'll need any, or you'll run into any issues there. So you go to the Your Apps, you click on Your App. So mine was called Watson app, and I clicked on it, and it is here. Just going to drag this over. And now we're going to add access scopes. So from the settings page, open the app homepage. Oh, I have this open twice. Sorry. It's too early in the morning. It's 9:30. I've only had 2 cups of coffee. Click on the app from the settings page of your Slack app. Open the app homepage. Add the access scopes for your Slack app. Review scopes to add or update scopes. Do I have to do this through the app? I didn't need to do this last time. Now I'm confused. Okay, here we go. Manage apps. No installed apps, huh? All right. Let's go back to the instructions. Go to the Your Apps page on the Slack website. Click on the app you want to use. Yeah, did that. Good. And then from the settings page for your Slack app, open the app homepage. You guys, I seriously did this 2 hours ago, and it wasn't this difficult. Add access scopes for your Slack app. Oh, this is really boring. Okay. So another thing that you have to do is you actually have to assign your bot token scopes to your Slack app. And so this is under features, John says. No. This is really good because the last time that I ran one of these workshops, the audience was also, oh, yes. The audience was also like really far ahead of me. And so I appreciate that everybody is able to help me out here. From the settings page, open the app homepage. See, now I think everybody is ahead of me on this. Do I even need to be here to run these events?
Hey, Dave, I'll help you out.
Yeah.
Okay, go back there. I think you're just missing the app home link. Is that all? That's what you're looking for, right?
Yes.
Okay, go back to the Slack thing. I think they just moved something for you. See features, the heading for features on the left-hand menu?
Yes.
That first link?
Oh, nice.
All right.
I feel like when we first started doing this workshop, everything was in a slightly different location. And then Slack made it more intuitive, but my brain is still stuck on Slack 2 years ago. All right, we're in business. So I believe now we have our bot token scopes. Elaine is on step 12. Elaine is going to take my job, basically, but that's okay. Chat rights. I am history. I am read, and I am Rick. I also, I'm just pretending that I don't know what's going on to facilitate, making it easier for you all to ask questions. Really, I'm like a super genius that's operating on a totally different level. Is I'm sure what's going on here. Okay, and then click install app to workspace, which I believe is up here. Ah, love it. From the Slack settings app homepage, which I now know where it is. Always show my bot as online. Oh, this is good. I'm on step 10. I'm catching up to you, Elaine. And then go to the OAuth and permissions page in Slack, copy the bot user OAuth access token. Copy. Sweet. And then from the Watson Assistant Slack integration configuration page, which I already have open, paste the token that you copied into the OAuth access token and bot user OAuth access token fields. Which I hope is this one. Bam. That's I didn't copy it. Oh my god. Okay. We're gonna get through this, everybody. Mainly, I'm talking to myself right now. And let's just double check. Basic information, app credentials. And we're going to copy the verification token. Bam. Sweet. Okay. So now I see that we have a question that I'm really qualified to answer. Elaine is asking, what kind of snacks did the Slack office have? So I want to tell you about that. The Slack office had all of these coolers full of beverages, and I'm a huge fan of the like flavored seltzer water, like these guys, even though a lot of people hate them because they taste like nothing. They had like 12 flavors. I think at our office we had 2 or maybe 3. And then at our office, we got rid of the LaCroix and replaced it with Seagram's sparkling water, which is just like club soda. And at Slack, so they had all of those. They had 2, I think, flavors of kombucha on tap. One time, some friends were coming from out of town, and we were going to go to a pub nearby to catch up. And somebody at Slack was like, "Oh, you should just come over here. We have 6 different wines on draft because you can. That's like the hip thing, right? Is that you can actually have kegs of wine." And in addition to that, they had the barista, and then they had just a whole just so much snacks that you could like spin the thing. Snacks that was just bagged up. This is making me hungry, to be honest. But yes, they had amazing snacks. Oh, snacks. And unfortunately, I have 0 snacks for you today. So I'm sorry about that. Okay. And then we're going to copy the app credential verification token. We just did that. Step 14, from the Watson Assistant Slack integration configuration page, paste the verification token, just did that, and then click the generate request URL. All right, I can do that. Bam, click the button. I'm good at this. I'm good at clicking buttons. And then we have this URL. And it says on the event subscriptions tab, switch the enable events to on. Now everybody's going to find this checkbox totally before I do, but that's fine. I've made my peace with that. And we've got our request URL in there. Oh, it's verified. Oh my God. I love it when things work. They so rarely work, And then return to the Slack app settings, turn on enable events. And then On the event subscriptions page, find the subscribe to bot events and then click add bot user event. Subscribe to bot events, add bot user event, and we are going to add message.im. Oh, I didn't do that right. Yep, that worked. And then app mention. Nice. All right. Click Save Changes. I can also do that. I'm good at certain things. There's no Save Changes. Okay. Optional. To add support for showing buttons, blah, 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 blah. Oh, optional. We never do optional. Okay. And then chatting with the assistant.
There was a save changes, by the way. Sorry.
There was a Save Changes?
It's there. Down the
Oh,
bottom.
it was behind the cookie thing.
Cookie thing, yeah. I'm just here as your debugger. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so to chat with the assistant, we're going to open Slack, go to the workspace, click on the application that you created. I created it from the app section. Hopefully we get something here. Christian, thank you. Everybody's ahead of me on this. I really like this. Woohoo! All right. Let's go back to the instructions here. Chat with the assistant. Now, where's my Slack? Okay. Watson app. Hello? Oh, come on. It doesn't like me. Let's see if we can do direct message. Hello, good afternoon. So now, let me just go back to our slide here, wherever it is. Oh. All right, so this is what's happening. I said, hello. That message got sent from me, the user, to Slack. Slack sent the message to our little integration bot, right, which we created inside Slack. And then the bot actually sent the information to the Watson assistant that we created. Now, the Watson assistant that we created is not super smart. Remember, it's just that customer service bot that has 52 dialogue nodes or something. If you were doing this in a production environment, you'd have a ton of intents, a ton of entities that represent like your specific business logic, and a ton of different dialogue trees. But instead, we're going to have Watson return something to the bot. The bot is going to return the message to Slack, and then Slack is going to send the message back to us. And the end result of that is that we get, hello, good afternoon. So you can see I've triggered the appointment tree of the Watson assistant. So now it's saying, what day would you like to come in? I'll say Memorial Day. And it'll say, oh, that's Monday. So it's trying to narrow down, it's trying to understand what day and time I'm trying to come in so that it can make an appointment. That's the idea of this very small customer service bot, 52 nodes in that decision tree. But over time, you can actually build this out to a really extensive custom skill And again, this is something where we didn't need to use any custom code. It was all done through the Watson Slack integration. And if we actually go into our assistant, which I believe is here, we will be able to go through and create different intents, different entities, different dialogue. And as soon as you save and rebuild the model, you'll actually be able to create sort of new pathways for your customers to follow. So let me just check. Well, Elaine says bot works. It said good afternoon, but it's morning. I wonder if there's a time zone issue there, depending on the data center that you created it in. Let's see here. And John says, can you connect Watson to SMS like Twilio? Yeah, so there's a number of different ways to do this. We actually have done a bunch of workshops with my former colleague, Lizzie. Let me paste her Twitter in here so that you have access to it. Sweet. So Lizzie is an awesome developer advocate for Twilio, and we do workshops every month or so about working with Watson and Twilio. Here is a blog post that I wrote. Let me see if I can just pull it up here. So many blog posts. Yeah. So this is a blog post that we wrote together. You can follow this if you want, but basically what it does is it allows you to create a Watson natural language understanding service. And then we use Twilio Autopilot to actually go through and collect a bunch of data from the user. And then using that, we determine what the sentiment of the users was, what sort of categories, concepts, entities, keywords, a lot of the same stuff that you see in Watson Assistant that we can identify. And then we return that to Twilio, and you can interact with these bots through text messages, through UI. Oh, thank you. Yes, and we actually did a session here on Certified Fresh Events about the Twilio thing. So feel free to look through that as well. Also, if you go through into the integrations here, you can see that there is actually a Twilio messaging integration here. Unfortunately, it looks like you need to put in a credit card to actually try this out, which is a little bit of a bummer. But the nice thing about being a developer is that you can actually, instead of using these integrations, you can just build the integration yourself. And so some of the code that you see in the blog post that I shared will actually allow you to do that. Oh, I'm back in the... One thing I wanted to mention, first of all, feel free to ask any other questions in the chat because I'll be here for a few more minutes. If you are a software vendor or a startup and you would like a bunch of IBM Cloud credit for free, I'd recommend signing up for the IBM Partner Program. The URL is really tiny, but it's down there at the bottom. It's ibm.com/partners/start. Suze, if you could paste that in the chat, that would be awesome. But you could get up to $12,000 of free IBM Cloud credit, 10 terabytes of IBM Cloud Object Storage, a year free trial to Watson Assistant, not just the free light tier that you're on, but a sort of more powerful tier, Cloud Kubernetes, IBM Blockchain, and if your business is a startup, then you can actually get even more than just the usage that you see here. The idea is that we want you to be able to build on IBM Cloud so that as your business succeeds, we are able to sort of scale with you. And that's the end.
Thanks for watching.